Hi everybody, welcome back. This is February. The weather hasn't been great for the last few weeks. There is some snow due, so I have to go and feed the bees. And I think it's time to take a little bit of a break from the gardening here. So hang around. The weather's been very wet here for the last couple of weeks, and this week there's more snow due, so I've just added some fondant on top of the colonies. I've just hefted the hives again, checked the insert trays again. Everything looks okay so far. Some bees have been out flying earlier in the week, so when they were flying they were foraging on some of the garden plants around here. So they've been foraging on the likes of snowdrops, mahonia and crocuses. So I've just been down to the apiary and I fed the bees some fondant. The bees have been bringing in some pollen, but not a lot. Now the weather here, we've been promised snow, but we've had a lot of rain, a lot of wind, so the bees haven't been out flying very much. But when they are flying, the pollen they're bringing in, I assume is coming from either snowdrops, crocuses, mahonia, or viburnum, which is growing in the gardens near the apiary here. Also, we are now about 6 to 8 weeks away from the first major amounts of pollen and nectar that will arrive back at these hives here. So my bees will be getting ready to go out and forage in the surrounding country. So if my queen is laying and if the bees are bringing in pollen, that means there's brood to be fed. So that's a good sign. But I don't know whether the bees are drones or whether they're workers. So hopefully they're all workers and I'll have a colony to go forage in the surrounding countryside here. At the moment there are a number of trees in flower, but unfortunately they are all wind pollinated. So they are alder, hazel and willow, all wind pollinated, but the bees will visit them if they're growing near the apiary, which they are here. So at the moment willow is not in flower, it is coming into bud, just breaking bud. So hopefully if the weather keeps going the way it's going, it's 11 degrees today, very soon that will be in flower. Alder is an unusual tree. It's a deciduous tree, grows a single stem, or if it's cut it grows as a coppice tree like it is here. And today we're out here on marginal ground on the bog, so a lot of alder growing in here. It's unusual insofar as it has both catkins and cones on it at the same time. Also, if you cut an alder tree, the sap will turn red, so it's associated with evil or the underworld in times past. The other tree that grows in this area here quite profusely is the willow, pussy willow, as everybody knows it. Again, it grows as a single stem tree, or as a very small tree, about what, 10-12 meters high. They're both male and female trees. Both of them produce catkins. The female tree produces smaller catkins, which I'll video later on when the flowers start to come into bloom. The males produce the pollen, and therefore we know it as the pussy willow. Copious amounts of yellow pollen, and lots of bees will be foraging on that in the next month or so. And another tree that's growing nearby is the hazel, and I've seen the honeybees on the hazel tree. So the hazel will produce its catkins in late autumn. Early spring then, it's one of the first, the catkins get longer and it starts to shed its pollen when the weather is windy. Not too windy, but when it's windy and not too wet. And after it has shed its pollen, you can see just above the catkin, a small tiny red flower like a little pineapple. And that is sticky and that collects all the wind-blown pollen, because hazel is cross-pollinated. And at the end of the year in autumn, everything going well is successful, you will get a crop of hazelnuts off it, which squirrels and birds will feed on. So that's what's growing at the moment in the vicinity of the apiary. So hopefully next month temperature will rise, weather will improve, bees will be out flying, and I can stop feeding fondant. Although some or other I think I'll be feeding fondant for another. Once you start feeding fondant, I have to keep feeding fondant, and once the weather picks up, more bees are flying, I'll probably switch to feeding syrup. I know we said we were going to cover forage, but the weather's just too bad. There's very little in flower at the moment and things can only get better. Okay, chat again soon, bye.